With the preparation for this one, is it a bit shorter on the basis that the game was obviously supposed to be a couple of weeks back? Does it save a bit of time and make it more straightforward?
Yeah, it meant we could watch the football yesterday. That was quite good. So it does take less time because obviously our prep into opposition games is quite a lot. So we've watched the last couple of games just to see. I know Ipswich got a couple of injuries now, but the format of their game doesn't really change. They're really well oiled and really fluid in the way in which they play. So there's not huge changes. And so we did a lot of our preparation work on the Thursday before the game that was cancelled. So obviously it got called late on the Friday or straight after training on the Friday. So we were ready to go. Obviously our team will be different now from then for one or two other reasons. Players' availability and things, and theirs might be as well because of injuries. But I think the basis of how they play will be very similar, and it's enabled us to just turn around quite quickly from one game to the next. But yeah, they're in good form. They had a good result against Portsmouth at the weekend, off the back of I think they've played three really tough games: Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth, and then Portsmouth. But they're obviously in really good shape, and be a good game for us to go and test ourselves against them.
Yeah, and you mentioned last time around the fluidity, the flexibility within their side, which is really impressive for League One level, because of course you're talking about the players' ability, but also their ability to take on the information to do some of the things they've been doing is really quite impressive.
Yeah, that was the interview that never aired, wasn't it? We should have just repeated that. We could have saved ourselves this. But look, they've got loads of talented players. I think what you see in the likes of Derby, Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday coming up, and Peterborough coming up, Wickham, those teams that were coming up this month, they're flooded with players that have either, in some cases, played in the Premier League, but certainly got a lot of Championship experience and Championship quality in their team. I think the best teams have got better this year. There's no doubt. The 5 sub-rulers, it's why we didn't want it really, because it just allows those squads to be bigger and stronger and deeper with really, really good quality players. But you can see that. I think the difference that the table already is shaping up, that the teams at the top will be the teams at the top, and I think that will probably separate. I think that top 8 or 9 this year will probably be an even bigger gap to the bottom half of the table than it was last year. So there's a real strength in that, a real consistency. I think Kieran's built a team that plays how he wants to, so he's probably got a team more in line with his style and philosophy this year than last year when we went there. More options in the team. I know they've got 1 or 2 injuries at the moment, but they've still got some really good top players, and they're humble enough to work the socks off and get the physical work that they need to be competitive in games. So we know we're in for a tough challenge, and it should be a brilliant atmosphere under the lights there, and one to look forward to and see if we can go and be competitive against them.
Yeah, you've had good practice away from home with this sort of match. You've had a real heavyweight run to start the season. Yeah,
exactly. I think we've got a few to come as well in the next month. But these are the games that you want to be in it for. You know, you look at the alternative. If we were in the league below, it's certainly games that you want to take part in. You just understand how difficult they can be. So we'll have to be absolute top of our game and hope they're not at theirs, and see where we are this morning. We're going to have to change the team around. We've got a few that are going to be out. I won't tell you who, but we've got a few that are going to be out for sure off the back of Saturday. So we'll make a team that can try and give ourselves a good shot of being competitive in the game, and play with a good pride and a good organisation. That'll be really important, and try and see if we can have a good threat in the game. But like always when you play these teams, you've got to get through the tough spells, and you've got to try and make sure that when you've got your moments yourself, you make them count.
With the reaction to Saturday's game, we had a few people getting in touch on the show saying that they felt almost unreasonably disappointed because of the way the bar's been set. You have a Barnsley, you have a Derby. Afterwards, even though you know how tough the game's been, you have that sense of disappointment. Is that a double-edged sword, where in some respects, obviously it's frustrating that you want people to keep in mind where you've been, but equally it's great, isn't it, that you pushed the expectation so far?
Yeah, and the expectation on ourselves is that game was there for something. There was something in it for us, and then it ran away right at the end with the second goal. But in the second half, it looked like we were really in good control of it, and looked like we could cause them a problem. But we weren't able to chisel out enough chances with our attacking play. And they've got some good defenders. You know, Curtis Davis, James Chester, Cash in the back three are very, very strong, very good, very experienced. And you could go through the team and name that. And you have to sometimes just accept that other teams have got top players, and that's just the reality of it. But it doesn't mean we can't be competitive. So I think if you look at our record over this season so far and last, we have shown we can get results against top teams. but that's less often than when we haven't. So I think that's just the reality of the league table. So yes, we want to raise the expectation and all those bits and pieces, but the target this year doesn't change at all, and you shouldn't be kidded on by the first 10 games and winning 5 of them. This is a brutal month for us now, and we've got to try and hang on to the coattails of the teams in the top half to make sure that we are fighting away and chipping away as many points as we can. But when you are competitive in those games, you've got to make sure that the moments that you have go your way and that you don't make the errors that give them the chance to get in front of the game. That's just, we could repeat that story a number of times over the last couple of years, and hopefully we can do that enough times over the year that we get some positive results. But I'm pretty sure we all know who the favourites are tomorrow, but it doesn't mean we can't cause a surprise.
With the individual errors in defence recently, which way does that fall in that as a manager? I guess part of you it's worrying in that it's an area that you have less control over, but equally it's not the overall structure of the defending or the tactical side of it that's particularly been a problem.
No, I think sometimes the younger players find that tough as well. It's just the consistency and concentration to get through games against really good players. Errors just happen. You can overthink them too much. You can think about them so much that it feels like they've happened more than they have, and it's happened once in that game. So you just crack on, move on. That's what it is. So hopefully we can respond from that quite quickly, because I think that's what the game demands of you all the time, especially if you want to play at a really high level and a consistent level in this league as we are. And the errors are, a consequence of sometimes just pressure against us or the level that we're at. Consistency really comes from skill levels, and the more consistent you are, you're probably just better. If you're a top player, you can play a little less subconsciously. You just play and you don't have to be really at it. But we're at a level where we have got to be absolutely at it in order to be competitive, and we're not at the level of the top teams yet. So that's what we're trying to develop ourselves, staff, players towards, and then be our team over time. And it will take time to be a team that can regularly compete in the top half of this table. At the minute, we've got to try and be a team that is not involved in any drama, and in a similar vein to last year.
And with the injuries to Brandon Hornstruck we know about, and from what you're saying, you've got a couple that you know about and you're fairly confident of where you're at, but we'll see tomorrow.
Yeah, fairly confident that we know there's a couple definitely out. There's a little bit of illness as well, so we've got definitely 2 or 3 missing. I mean, we'll probably make 4 or 5 changes tomorrow because we'll have to, and also we tend to anyway when we play the 3-game week. So hopefully that gives us an element of freshness without making us look too abnormal. But we'll see where everybody's at this morning and do best we can when we go there tomorrow. But they're in high spirits in terms of Ipswich's team and results, and I'm sure they'll want to continue their good momentum at home. And for us, we just want to try and keep getting competitive performances against the best teams, because that's the foundation to getting any points, and that's where we've got to start off to begin with. But no dramas really where we are. We've probably got the results from the games that we thought we would in the main, and found it difficult in some of the other ones. So it probably shapes out as we thought it might do at this point, and we go into the next little batch of games knowing we're in for a really tough month, but one that we want to see how many points we can get against these top teams, because overall that's where we want to be more competitive against them. And I think it's really hard to... You know you're in for a tough night, but it's really hard to not be excited about it, because what a game to go and play in. I think the players loved it last year when they went there. We'll have 2,000 away fans there. It'll be a brilliant atmosphere. So bring it on, let's see what we can do.
Cool, that's great.